everybody. I actually feel like I'm in the mood to vlog. This ain't like a hair video or anything like that I normally do. This is pretty much just things that I've been taking notice, you know, just in my personal life, just being very present in life. And 3 years ago I had a leadership program, and what it is actually, it was called Landmark Education, and basically it just helps you understand who you are as a person. It doesn't change you because when I share this with a few friends in my life, they take it as if what it is they put things in your head, and they um, give you these thoughts that aren't your thoughts. It doesn't really do that. All Landmark is it basically teaches you who you are as a person, and where you're at in your life, how you got to this point in your life, whether it's good or bad. It just helps you understand, maybe you started off early in your life, because we all, when we're young, when you're young, you have, no negative influences that changes your dream pattern of what you want to be when you grow up, until you become an adult and become, when you live in the world on your own, then, we become part of what our society, the way of thinking that our society does naturally, like especially negative thoughts, And what it does, it brings you back it brings you back to where you felt in your life that you felt um, like when you were young and innocent, before you were influenced by negativity, or maybe the path that you knew that you wanted to walk down. It changed because maybe you wound up getting married, or before you were ever even planning on getting married, or maybe you had a kid out of wedlock, or so maybe you wanted to be that doctor or something like that, when you were in high school. Everything that you worked so hard towards in college, and somewhere you didn't fulfill that because your path altered somewhere, So, and then what happens when our paths alter to something else? We become sometimes unhappy and not even know why we're unhappy. And really why we become unhappy is because that path that altered what we wanted out of our lives when we were young and more innocent becomes unfulfilled later in life, and you wind up getting locked in a job that you really never thought you would be locked into. Maybe taking a lower in-paying job when you know that you were working towards something like being a doctor, or an engineer, or a firefighter, because maybe certain circumstances stopped you from being that, or maybe money issues or something like that. Whatever our life experiences that stop us from being fulfilled, And what happens when we become unfulfilled is, let's say, we wind up taking a lower end job, just working maybe 2 or 3 jobs, instead of just really taking a job that really fits who you are. And a lot of times when we go to McDonald's, or restaurants, or retail shops, and we get the person behind the register that's not friendly, unhappy, taking their personal feelings to work. A lot of times it's the reason why we get bad customer service, not because they always truly hate their job. Really, they're carrying their past with them. So, and it affects who you are, and it takes power from you being a powerful person that you can truly be, by fulfilling what you want for yourself in your life, the way you truly design your life when you were younger, But that's what life experiences does with us, and then somewhere later down the road, you catch up to what you truly wanted at the very beginning of your life when you were a young adult, before life experiences alter us. So all Landmark does is it just helps you understand where in your life that you took power from yourself, where you lost that power. You know what I mean? Maybe you're in a management position and no one at work likes you because you're unhappy, so you take your anger out on your coworkers without even realizing that's what you're doing. Or maybe somewhere when you were younger, you were picked on. Maybe you were a nerd, you were picked on, and people were mean to you. And somewhere you took your power out on something through work where you treat your workers bad because you go back into that story of being that kid all over again. So you therefore go through your life treating people like shit, literally. And that's all Landmark is. Like, that's all it's taught you. It just gives you tools to understand who you are. And if you're finding yourself fulfilled, it helps you become fulfilled. It's nothing more. It's very similar to the law of attraction and things like that. And that's what I had like 3 years ago. But I struggle with it at times because I'm living in a world that hasn't had Landmark. There are a lot of people that have it because it's growing. And Landmark isn't the only leadership program. There's other leadership programs. Sometimes you don't even need Landmark. Sometimes you can get it from just going to church. It's wherever you're getting it from. Sometimes you can get it from church and Landmark, because there was a lot of people that were church going. There were also in Landmark that actually were like deacons. You had bankers. You have a whole lot of top end people sitting next to me in Seattle when I was taking my course. So it wasn't just regular everyday people. It was a mixture of everyone, because everyone goes through this. So for me and myself, what I feel where I lacked my power was I used to always say I was okay by standing behind someone. I never cared to be a leader. I didn't want all that responsibility and stress. I just work, do my thing, and that's it. And I always told myself that was great. But what I really learned later is this. After I had my first divorce, and then I remarried, I've been with my current husband for 16 years. I've been married to him for 12 to 16 years. So I always hid behind them. And I was never a leader. I was more of a follower, and I was okay with it. You know what I mean? But my husband would always, especially my current husband, would always tell me, like, you really have a gift for people. Like, if I had what you had and added to all the stuff that I know, I would be a bomb person. You know what I'm saying? And because I have really good people skills. And I'm very compassionate on top of it. So, a lot of the times, I when I meet people, like, it's so easy for me because they always wind up liking me. And I think what it is because I'm very real. I'm an open book, and I'm a very understanding person a lot of the time. So going back to Landmark, I realized where it came from. And I look there's few areas in your life that you have a life experience, and mine was when I was real little. My mother told me to hold a hope chest open, and I did, and she said, "Don't let it go." And I'm little. I'm like first grade, and so because on the hope chest, because it was from Japan, my dad had bought this hope chest, for my parents to feel as I was growing up, so that one day I get married, I had all my stuff in it for me. And inside of it, she was trying to get something because it had like a latch with like a hook. And she said, if you let it go, it's going to gash me in the head. And so because I'm so little and she said that, I was like, okay. She was so serious, so I'm like holding it. And realized that when I was holding it, I somehow let it go. And it gashed her in the forehead, and she began to bleed. So anyways, when that happened, she started yelling at me. I told you so, and she was bleeding. And when you're little and you see blood to you, it's a lot, So anyways, I carried that with me. That was one time. Another time was because I'm a product of a mixed race. I'm 41 years old, so now almost everybody's mixed, period. But because I was a product of a white mom, my mom remarried someone who was also white, so my community was more dominantly white. So even though there was Hispanics and African American people around me, which I have inside me as well, my blood as well, it still was a struggle growing up, especially back then because it wasn't as popular. Now it's not a big deal. So I remember like moving back from the States from Hawaii to Chicago, and that's where my family's originally from. But we spent most of my life on the West Coast. So when I moved there, we moved to, I remember Elmhurst, Illinois, and I remember 20 kids. They were white, and they all had me in a circle, and they called me nigger, and I couldn't understand. My mom was white. I never heard that word growing up, and my mom's a hillbilly. Like her family are from Hawkinsville, Kentucky, so they're straight up hillbillies. So my mom's not a hillbilly, but that's the background that she's from, because she moved away when she was younger, and she didn't want to be involved with her family anymore. So so I told my mom one day I didn't want to go to school, and she's like, well, why don't you want to go to school? And I'm like, because I don't feel good. And I just kept saying that for a few days, and I didn't have a fever or anything. So she called the school, and she talked to the principal, and she's like, well, there's something wrong with my daughter. She's, blah, 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 because I was acting weird. So they pulled me aside, and they asked me, because I didn't want to tell my mom, and I realized I think I didn't want to tell her because I didn't want to hurt her feelings or feel bad for her. Or, you know what I mean? Because my mom was pretty much, my dad was always gone. He was in the military. He was always out to sea, and I was the oldest, so I kind of was kind of tough. So my mom's like, the principal's like, so what's your problem, blah, blah, blah. And I started to cry. And I said, when I was living in Hawaii, there was a lot of people like me that were brown skinned, whether they were Asian, Hawaiian. I blended in more there than I did in the States. So what it was, white people's never seen, back then it wasn't popular to see people like me with curly hair, brown skin, and, it was kind of a prejudiced area. So, I just had a tough time. So it stayed with me. So it stayed in the back of my mind, even though I moved on and it went away. And and then again, when I was going through high school when I was older, that was another area of my life where, I had my black friends and I had my white friends, you know what I mean? And I felt honestly more comfortable around my white friends because that's what I was used to, and they never really had an issue with my mom being white or my siblings being white, because I'm the only mixed child of 6 kids and I'm the oldest, and all the other kids were white. But even though when they came over, they never pointed it out. Well, my black friends, when they would come over, they would be like, that's your mom, that's your dad, that's your brother, because my siblings at that time when they were younger had dirty blonde hair, green eyes, and here I am, brown skin, dark hair, very curly hair, and you see a white man walking around, which is my technically stepdad, but he's my dad. He raised me from birth, so he's my dad to me. And then my biological mom, who's white with bone straight hair and green eyes. And really, I did look like my mom. It's just that I had curly hair. So, of course, people look at the skin color and they don't really pay attention to anything else. Then that's when I started realizing that I was different. In my household, my parents didn't, raise me to be mixed. They didn't talk about stuff like that, race or color or anything like that. They just raised me like everybody else in my family. So then I started questioning that. So I struggled with identity. And then just wanting to know who my real dad is, I struggled in that. So in my life, the reason where I'm going with this is that in my life, I learned through leadership program that the reason why I was okay with being a follower was because in my life, all those situations added up to me not feeling like I was good enough. I wasn't good enough. I couldn't hold the whole chest from my mom because I wasn't good enough. I couldn't be part of my society because I wasn't white enough, I wasn't black enough, I wasn't good enough. As I got older and learning about my biological father and not really truly knowing the true reason why he wasn't in my life, I felt like I wasn't good enough to have him in my life. So my whole story that I carried with me without even realizing this was that I wasn't good enough, and therefore my power strength, which is called a trump card, that I used to get through my life, And a trump card is nothing more than something that you use to get what you want from life, okay? Whether it's getting that job, whether it's getting people to like you. It's a certain behavior trait that you have that is very powerful, that allows you to get these things. Mine happens to be that I'm very nice. I'm very understanding, very loving, and very sensitive. And it's because I got picked on a lot growing up by my white side, my black side, my Spanish side. I got picked on a lot. So I never felt like I fit in anywhere. So it was like I wasn't good enough to be a part of any of that. And then when they have you go back and so that you understand those things, I confronted my mom and I brought up, Mom, remember that hope chest that I dropped on your head and it caused you to bleed? Remember that? She's like, no. I'm like, Mom, I dropped the hope chest on your head. You don't remember that? See, and she didn't even remember it. And it really happened. Because I remember my childhood very, very well. That's one thing about me. I'll remember my past so well because my past has always meant a lot to me. So she's like, no, I don't really remember that. And I'm like, are you serious? That's how traumatic it was to me. And that's where I'm going with this. And that's some of the things that cause us to build these bad behavior traits that stop us from being powerful, because we hold on to that memory and then we tag it to everybody else. And then anytime that someone, when I'm around people, I always feel like I have to pull my trump card out because I have to make people like me. And once I understood that, that gave me power. It gave me power in my life to understand why I am the way I am. And not that I would ever change that I'm a compassionate person, because my compassion goes back to my life experience of not being accepted by people. Okay? That's why I'm able to have people like me so easily, because it's always, I said to myself somewhere in my life that when people were pushing me around, I made a mental note to myself and said to myself, I would never do that to someone else unless I'm protecting myself for something that someone's doing to me. Literally. And that's why I am compassionate, and that's where I got my power for people from. So I learned that why I'm powerful with people, and where I lack, why I felt like I wasn't a leader, and why I never got where I wanted to in my life, is because I hid behind people because I was scared, and I didn't realize that that's what it was. So now that I know with my this program, I realize when I'm around people, instantly right away I can figure them out right away now, because I was always good at that, but I really can now. So now when people talk or share stuff with me, I'm like, I'm seeing right through the story, because there is the fact and there is a story. Because here's the fact. The fact is I'm a product of a mixed race. The story is that no one loved me. I wasn't good enough. And that wasn't true at all. It's something I made up in my head. Therefore, it took power out of the rest of my life up until 3 or 4 years ago. What stopped me from being a person who was independent, a person who can fend for herself. I thank God I'm married to someone who's very loving and very caring. He takes really good care of me and my son. Or my son and I, should I say. My first husband was the same way, but never really trying to get out there and find my own thing. And because I was afraid, I've always been afraid. And now that I know that I have this gift of, just being able to talk to people so easily, and it comes from my past. So that's all it does. It doesn't really change who you are. It may, when I get into my negative way of being, because we all have that, instantly I'll know what I'm doing, and I'll cut it off. Like if I find myself having a mood swing, and really redirecting it to somebody that has nothing to do with it. And like people who go to work, they may have an argument with their husband, and you're ordering Big Mac and fries, and they're rude, and they give you the worst customer service, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with whatever it is that they've gone through that they carry to work. And that's what Landmark does. It just helps you understand to leave your personal issues at home and not take them to work, because when you do that, you take power out of being such an awesome director or an awesome police officer, because you're becoming, unhappy and unfulfilled in your life in general. So therefore, you're taking power out of being the best police officer, an understanding police officer, or a darn good director, without being such a jerk off. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why what's wrong with people in our society in today's world is that, no one wants to take the blame for their own mistakes. So what it is, it's easy to throw that anger and hatred and stuff on other people and blame other people than for you to own up to it, because we have too much pride. Pride will kill you, plain and simple. If you did something wrong, you did something wrong. Own up to it, good or bad. And what I learned through Landmark is that we are the most intelligent machine in this planet, because we are very intelligent human beings. We're very intelligent. They call it meaning-making machines. We're constantly making meanings out of everything. Well, let's say I'm sitting right here and I happen to look this way, and I see someone looking my way. And they could be like in a thought and not even knowing that they're looking at me. And I'm like, well, what the hell is she looking at? Like blah, 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 blah. Then you start getting mad. Then you start building these stories. Then you start getting her dirty looks. When really, she probably didn't even realize that she was staring your way. She could have been just in a deep thought and didn't even realize that's what she was doing. Because I do that a lot and don't even realize that I do it. That's what I'm saying. We're meaning-making machines. We're constantly making meanings. So back to what I was saying when I was younger, when I dropped that hope chest on my mom's head, what happened is there's fact, what actually happened. What actually happened is I dropped the hope chest on my mom's forehead, right? And there is the story that I attached, I identified the memory with, that carried itself with me. And as you age, every year, because I'm 41 now, the memory got more intense, because I was constantly adding a feeling behind it every year. Because, your memories fade, but your emotions are so intense. It's almost like what I'm saying to you exactly in this video. And then you go back and say, oh, I saw this video about this girl, blah, blah, blah. And you cannot say word for word what I said, period. Your words are going to kind of change a little bit, because there's no way that you can remember exactly word for word what I said. No one can do that unless you're just like a computer, okay? That's the way our memories are. And our memories distort our feelings. So let's say, like there was a girl at Landmark that this may sound silly, but seriously, it was serious to her. Her mom had to go to the store. So she asked her if she wanted to go to the store. She said no. So her mom goes to the store, right? Do you know what happened? When she got back, she was real upset with her mom and felt like her mom abandoned her. Literally. Because she just went to the store. Okay, her mom told her that she went to the store. But because she was young and little, she made whatever she made from it, right? Therefore, she carried that from 5 years old all the way into her life. And it affected her not having a good relationship with guys, because she had trust issues. She actually had trust issues because she felt like her mom abandoned her. Or any other type of abandonment. Sometimes people really do get abandoned. Like my ex-husband's mom abandoned him. And it wasn't until I had Landmark that I understood him, because I didn't understand that when I was married to him, because my parents were married until my dad passed away. So he always had trust issues. And I realized that, like, he doesn't trust anyone. And I think it's because if the one important person in your life, which is your mother, leaves you, okay, and you had a relationship with her, you tend to, as each year goes on when you're little, get angry about it. And then you get upset about it. So you're adding what I told you a few minutes ago, your emotions every year alter what truly happened, because you truly don't know what happened, because you weren't there in the room with your mom and dad when she left. But what really happened is his mom and dad broke up, okay, and she went on her own, and his dad had to take care of him, but also too he was aggressive about having him. He was going to do whatever he had to do to keep him, and it kind of put fear in her to go after him. She kind of felt intimidated by it because his dad kind of was more well off and everything. So that's what really happened. But because he went so many years without his mom, he blames her for not being in his life, and not, he's like in his mid-40s now. Now I think she's in his life, but I'm just saying, it affected my relationship with him because of that relationship, and that's one of the most powerful relationships that you can have with someone is your mom. That's the person that brings you into this world. So every meaning that he was making, it altered the anger more. It altered his relationship with people. And there was a lot of people in Landmark that was in there for that. And once they understood why they didn't have good relationships, love relationships and work relationships, they were able to, look at it for what it is that, what, this happened to me. And the fact is, my mom and dad broke up and they went this way. Everything else is a story. It's just something that you kind of added to, and you kind of made it worse than what it was. So therefore, you stopped yourself from having powerful relationships with people. So that's what I've been going through, like, lately. Like, when I'm hearing people talk, I'm just like, already know what they're saying. I mean, I so get it now. Like I find my life being so much more powerful, not hiding behind my husband anymore. Like, being right next to him, standing side by side. I'm actually have a really good relationship with him now. Like, really good relationship, a great friendship, and I appreciate everything about him and what he does for me, and as well as my son. He's a wonderful provider. He sacrifices a lot, even if it's his own happiness, to make sure he takes care of us without having the story behind it like he used to, like, oh, I'm doing this for everybody else and I'm not even enjoying life. Now he can have, an understanding why he is like that, because he's like that because his dad was like that. His dad was responsible. Now that he's clear, now he has, no attachment or anger towards me for not being able to have this big career going on, because I was hiding behind him for so long. Now I have my own things going on, my own work, and my own life, my own friends, my own everything. So I'm more standing in the forefront as an individual. Therefore, I'm looking more appealing in his eye. I'm 50-50 with him. So it's like, my relationship has increased the last 3 years that I had this leadership program. But not only that, it's law of attraction. What you say out loud is going to attract itself to you. It's like a magnet, good or bad. If you say bad things are going to attract itself to you. If you say good things and you believe in it powerfully, that's going to attract itself to you. And that's the way I think, and that's the way I am. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I just really feel that I lately been around people who are negative. Like, even if it's not like friends, it's more so just every day in my life, just people in general. And I just see a lot of people unhappy and feel like they're stuck. You don't have to be stuck. You matter. You are worth it. Look at yourself. Remove all the stories. Remove all the bad experiences, and look at yourself when you were young. And think about what it was that meant the world to you to become in your life. And why did you not go there? What actually stopped you? Clarify it. Don't blame no one for it, because sometimes you need to look at yourself deeper and not blame other people. You know what I mean? And if someone did do something to you, no longer let it interfere with who you are today from being a powerful person. Understand why you feel that way, and what can you do to change it, to better yourself and free yourself from what it is that you're feeling. Seriously, This world, the only people the only thing when they say the world's going to come to an end, really, it's man is going to come to the end. The world is going to keep going. Man is going to kill each other because, just the way we are with each other is just absolutely horrible. It doesn't make sense, period. So, yeah, I don't want to keep going on because it's been 30 minutes. It's a long video. But I felt like it was important for me to say this and share this with you all because this is where I am in my life. I like to share because, if I can share with one person something positive and someone else gets it, it's a good thing. So know where your strengths are, know where your weaknesses are. And when you get up in the morning and you're having a bad day, know why you're having a bad day. Be clear about it. What can you do to make it a good day and not push it off on someone that's sitting next to you at work just to rub off your bad feelings on them, because misery loves company, straight up. You know what I'm saying? If you're having a bad day, owe it to yourself to owe it to yourself to understand why you're having a bad day and move forward, because there's a lot of hours in a day, so why waste it on being miserable? You know what I'm saying? That's all I wanted to share with you guys. And on top of that, today is Monday. Pretty soon, Thanksgiving is around the corner. So remember, be thankful for your life. Be thankful for the people that made a difference in your life. Life is short, and we're not promised tomorrow. So live powerfully. You owe it to yourself to be happy. Straight up, seriously, you owe it to you to make a difference in your life. You know what I mean? To live a life that you can be happy and smile, and because when you're dead forever. You can't take money with you. You can't take none of that with you. So why not be happy? Seriously. All right. Peace and love. Bye, guys.